Hello, Well Class. I hope you've had a good day. I'm back in here with my new bubble, with my bubble today, with a slight amendment as well, which is excellent. So we are all full in Blue Whale Bubble. We are on chapter 11 today of The Royal Rabbit of London. Chapter 11. Meanwhile, inside Tiger Towers, Shiloh followed Sapphire across the white marble floor of the hallway. The doors slowly shut behind him with an ominous click. Now all he had to do was find the diamond. But how was he going to do that with an enormous tundra wolf by his side? Amura's mansion was very impressive to a small bunkin like Shiloh. It had a spacious hall, gleaming pillars holding up a vaulted ceiling, which was painted to look like a blue sky with white clouds and big twinkling chandeliers. Every wall had gold-framed paintings of a smirking white Siberian tiger, whom Shiloh recognised as Amura from the photo he'd seen. The place seemed empty. It was very quiet. Suddenly, the sickly sweet scent he smelled outside the mansion filled his nostrils. He spun round. There, standing in the doorway of one of her magnificent rooms, was Amura herself, dressed in a frilly pink dressing gown and furry pink slippers. Shiloh caught his breath. He gulped. He backed away. But there was nowhere to run. The tundra wolf was behind him, and the tiger was blocking his exit with her enormous, fluffy, white and black striped body. Her paws were twice the size of Shiloh's entire body. Well, 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 Amura purred, grinning happily. What have we here, Sapphire? A little rabbit? She stepped closer. A courier, said Sapphire. You have a lovely home, Shiloh murmured, trying not to look as frightened as he felt. Amura was pleased. You think so? She purred. Oh, yes, it's a palace fit for a queen, he exclaimed, trying to stop his teeth chattering. He didn't want her to realise how terrified he was. She clapped her paws, drawing Shiloh's attention to her painted gold claws. I'm not a queen, but I do like to live like one. Sensing her vanity, Shiloh decided to try to win her over with flattery. But you are more beautiful than any queen. Amura, Sapphire shouted, wanting the courier rabbit to hand over his package and leave as quickly as possible so she could go back and guard the gates. Shut up, growled Amura crossly. Then she smiled at the rabbit. You were saying? That you are more beautiful than any queen, Shiloh repeated. This delighted her. Her pistachio green eyes gleamed. Do you think so? I do. I've never seen a white tiger before. Well, he hadn't seen any tiger before, so that was true. Amura shivered with pleasure. We are very rare, she told him. There are so few of us around. In fact, there's only one in the entire country, and I am it. Just as Shiloh was beginning to believe he knew how to handle her, Amura narrowed her eyes and changed from a purring cat to a fearsome tiger. Enough about me. Where's my usual courier? She growled suddenly. Shiloh jumped. His fur stood on end. His knees nearly gave way, but somehow he remained standing. There she is. For all of you at home. And for everyone else, there she is. She's huge. Much bigger than I expected. He took a deep breath and tried to ignore his heart that hammered against his bones. I'm just delivering the pyjamas that you ordered online, he replied quickly. Did I? She asked, crinkling her nose at the sight of them. But they look hideous and small. They're made for mice, not tigers. I'll have to send them back. She sighed and ran her eyes up and down Shiloh, her voice all soft and sweet and purring again. It's surprisingly nice to chat to you, little rabbit. A gallant animal who knows how to talk to a lady. A queen, Shiloh corrected, bowing. Amura, said Sapphire, more insistent this time. Amura glared at her and stamped her hind paw irritably. Go back outside and do your job, Sapphire, she roared. She lowered her voice. This little rabbit is not going to do any harm, are you, bunnykins? The tundra wolf rolled her eyes and left with a huff. Shiloh tried to stop shaking. Amura was the most terrifying creature he had ever encountered. How he wished Clooney and Laser were here with him. Amura laughed, although to Shiloh it sounded a lot like a growl. And as she opened her mouth, she saw her gleaming white and scarily sharp teeth. As you're such a gentleman, I'll let you in on a very special secret. I have something no one else in the world has. Shiloh tried to hide his surprise. Was Amura going to show him the Siberian diamond? Surely it couldn't be this easy. Amura motioned her paw for Shiloh to follow her and walked out of the room, her black and white tail swaying behind her as she ascended the marble stairs. I have the very diamond that once belonged to Catherine the Great of Russia and the Queen of England, she boasted, as he scampered after her. Now it belongs to me. How did you get such a diamond? Shiloh asked. Why do you ask? She glanced at him, and Shiloh saw the softness in her features very quickly hardening again. Because I imagine a king must have given it to you. If I were a king, I would give you a diamond as well. Her features softened again. How sweet you are, she purred, tracing her gold claws down his cheek. Shiloh held his breath as it went through his fur and grazed his skin. One false move, and that claw could do a lot of damage. Of course you're right, she continued, moving her claw. The King of England gave it to me. Shiloh would normally have bowed his ears at the mention of the king, but he knew he had to be careful. How generous of him, he said instead. I've been keeping it hidden, but as you're such a lovely bunny, I'll show you so that you can admire it. Shiloh couldn't believe it. Was he really going to be shown the diamond? I can't imagine it's more beautiful than you, he murmured, hoping she wouldn't turn nasty again. She laughed. Oh, you are so right, my little friend. She put her paw onto her dressing gown pocket and pulled out a marshmallow. These are my favourite things, she exclaimed, popping the sweet into her mouth and closing her eyes to savour the taste. And this is the secret ingredient. She pulled a tin of caviar out of her other pocket, flicked it open with her claw, and dipped another marshmallow into the gleaming black sturgeon eggs. Try this. So just if you don't know, caviar is fish eggs. Sturgeon is a fish. Okay. Shiloh thought it looked revolting, but he knew he couldn't refuse. He took a small bite. The salty, sugary taste spread over his tongue. It was disgusting. The caviar was clammy and cold, the marshmallow sweet and soggy. Yuck. Mmm, delicious, he gushed, trying not to gag. They stood before a big set of double doors with gold knobs. Amura pushed them open to reveal a very fluffy and extremely pink bedroom with a ceiling of disco lights. Shiloh spotted a glass cabinet standing against the opposite wall, the same glass cabinet that was in the photograph he'd seen in Nelson's war room. It was empty. Amura stared at the cabinet in horror. Where is my diamond? She roared so loudly that the glass in the window shook. My precious diamond! She roared again. Once more, Shiloh could see the sharp teeth in her wide-open mouth. He was so terrified he couldn't move. He was paralysed, frozen on the spot, as if her roar had turned him to ice. And before he could work out what was happening, Amura grabbed him with her colossal paw and swung him into the air. His stomach lurched as he flew high and then turned again as he landed with a slurp right in Amura's mouth. Her big white teeth closed behind him, and he was faced with the terrifying sight of her pink throat. This is it, he thought in panic. This is where it all ends. His whole life now passed before his eyes. The warren where he had grown up, his mother's kisses, Horatio's burrow where the old buck had read him stories of rabbit history, the weeping willow, the grand burrow, his short time as royal rabbit, his heart filled with dreadful sorrow. Not only was Shiloh petrified, but he felt sick as well. Sick in his stomach because of the marshmallow and caviar, sick in his heart because he had failed the royal rabbits and the king and queen, and just sick because one never feels very well when they're about to be eaten by a Siberian tiger. Or any tiger, I should imagine. Just as he was sure he was about to be swallowed, there came another sound. Not a roar or a growl, but a deep whimper. Shiloh realised to his amazement that Amura was sobbing. And one big sob later, he felt himself being expelled. He landed on the pink bed with a bounce. Amura ignored him. Frantically, she began to search her bedroom, lifting everything into the air and throwing it onto the carpet in a rage. She pulled the sheets off the bed and tore open the pillows so that the feathers fell all around them like snow. "Who has taken my diamond?" she roared, then sobbed helplessly. Shiloh sat up. His fur was soaking wet from Amura's slobber, and he was covered in pillow feathers. He'd tried to shake them off, but the slobber was acting like glue, and the feathers remained firmly stuck. Then he got the feeling they were not alone. He lifted his eyes and saw that the bedroom was unexpectedly crowded with creatures. Tundra wolves were looking at the empty cabinet in horror, and Sapphire was worrying about the hairdresser who had been buzzed into the mansion without being checking she was really a hairdresser. Minsky the Terrible's mouth had fallen open. Zeno, Laser and Clooney seemed very relieved to see that Shiloh was alive, even though he did look a sorry sight, all covered in feathers. They were all asking themselves the same questions. Where had the diamond gone? Who had snuck in before them? Minsky scratched his head. If the rabbits didn't have it, and the minks didn't have it, and Amura didn't have it, who did? Shiloh's ears flopped over his forehead, and he felt a terrible sinking feeling in his stomach, where only moments before he had felt sick. Amura stopped searching the room and turned round to face them. "Let's get out of here," cried Minsky, before we're served up for dinner." "Good thinking," said Zeno. And very slowly they all backed out. Down the marble steps, through the fortified door and electric gates, then hurried into the night as fast as they could. Shiloh was the last to leave. Suddenly, he was no longer so afraid of the weeping tiger. In fact, he felt sorry for her, and his compassion melted his fear. She seemed to have deflated like a balloon, and was now shriveled and damp. He took one last look at the empty display case, just to check that the diamond wasn't really there, and as he did so, his highly sensitive nose caught a whiff of the most delicious scent. It wasn't Amura's sickly sweet smell, nor was it the smell of Ratsy, mink or wolf. It was something else. Something familiar, perhaps. But then Amura started to roar again, and Shiloh turned and hurried out of the mansion, all the way onto the rolling grass of Hampstead Heath. Even then, he could hear the tigress's howl echoing across the hills. "My beautiful diamond! Who has stolen my beautiful diamond? I want my diamond now!" And that's the end of the chapter. We will find out tomorrow what happens next. I hope you've had a lovely day, and I will see you very soon. Take care, stay safe, bye.